Last week, the Challenge and Sport classes saw a stark contrast. The top three in Challenge finished exactly as they started, on the podium. But the Sport drivers experienced one of the wildest starts in PCA history with a monumental incident. Now that the first time with a standing start is under their belts, will we see a cleaner first corner? Or will confidence simply up the aggression? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the PCA Sim Racing Series 8 live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth tonight is DJ Clark, and standing in for Rachel Whiteford, who is out sick, we have Michael Johnson joining us. Nicholas Weatherby is on social media along with Ryan Bauer producing, who is using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Standing starts here at Sebring will be interesting, with the front stretch looking a bit more like a street course in a purpose-built circuit. Let's head to our track guide to find out a bit more about it. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, DJ, we've taken these Cup cars out here to Florida, but what can we expect around this bumpy former airport?
Well, Joe, we were talking a little bit before the air about just how tricky these cars are going to be to take around here, and these bumps are really going to affect these Porsches quite a bit. Drivers are going to have to be on their toes the entire way around the circuit. But particularly in these Cup cars, look for a couple of good overtaking opportunities, maybe going down into turns 1 and 2 with a little bit of fight back, definitely going down into the hotel hairpin, and we may see some brave souls attempt to make a pass through Cunningham or Tower. But from there on out, watch for the draft to be very effective down the Ullman straight, but drivers having to be very careful, as I said, through those second 2 sectors. As you kind of alluded to, it almost operates a little bit like a street circuit with just how tight everything is around here.
Indeed, and as we ride on board with Lacombe, he was our fastest in practice. He's yet to set a time. We've still got drivers that are getting around for their first lap. Looks like we're on a flyer here for Mark now, as he takes the 19 down into the hairpin. But Michael, you've had real-world experience at this track, and you were telling me how typically the drivers will need a little bit of a softer suspension for comfort. Obviously, we're on a fixed setup today, but, I mean, how do you foresee it affecting these cars on a lap around here?
Well, my experience in iRacing with the setup they have done specifically for this track does kind of control the bump a little bit better, but you don't have a lot of control in this car. You can work with the toe a little bit, you can change your rake by front and rear ride heights, you can even do a little more wing, but this is a fixed setup. They're not allowing them to make any changes, and I think we're going to see a fair amount of ballet, as in the form of a pirouette, from some of these cars as they work their way around the track.
Right now, almost done with this first lap from Mark. Let's see how quick he winds up being. A little bit of a slide there coming through Le Mans. And he was quick in practice, as we said, but it could be a whole nother thing having to perform here with only 3 laps to set a quick time. And that's 3 laps over 10 minutes. They've got to hustle around here because it's 2+ minutes just to finish it. As Mark brings it out of Sunset Bend. The timing that I'm seeing on my timing and scoring doesn't look like this is going to be quick, but we'll watch it all the way to the line regardless as he crosses a 2:02.4. That's actually pretty decent compared to what we saw in practice, DJ. Let's see how it holds up compared to everybody else.
Well, right now it's looking pretty good as Chad Dick about 0.6 of a second behind him. John Gibson sliding in about a second, 1.6 seconds behind. So that looks like a pretty solid time from Mark Lacombe. Very, very good. John Gibson, who we ride on board with now, he's slotted himself into fourth. And there's some pretty sizable distances between first and fifth, but very, very tight mid-pack here, Joe.
Now, Briggs was our winner and pole sitter back at Watkins Glen, but he only managed third on that lap as we're watching Stefan in his number 26 here. And it looks like that time by, he was able to put it in 15th. We're now on top of Briggs's roof, Michael. And this is probably going to be good if he can hold on to this third, because a first, and even if he does finish in third, that'll put him well ahead of Lacombe, because Mark only managed to finish, I believe, 13th. Yeah, 13th in the first round.
Yeah, but watching right now, when I'm bouncing around looking at the different cars, I'm seeing people basically putting in a safety lap. One that they've gone around, they've gotten it clean all the way through. They haven't gotten any off tracks. You see there how he's kind of far off the curbing at the apex, getting into the brakes a little bit soon, not really pushing it too hard. You want to get that lap done. And of course, as soon as I say it, he goes off into the dirt. But I think right now you're seeing everybody who's gotten their first lap down, they're now going to start pushing it. They've got that banker lap, the one that they know they can be okay with. And then they're really going to hustle and try to get some of those real lap times. I think we might even see something down to the high 201s, low 202s out of these guys once they start feeling the comfort of going through right here as we're watching Scott Kessel going through this final turn 17.
And he's on to the front stretch now. He's one of the ones that failed to set a lap time, as he must have had an off on that first one. Second time across, a 2:03.4. That'll put him into fourth place. It looks like Lacombe is coming around as we now jump over to the 19. Briggs, we know, went off last time, so he's not going to be able to set a lap. He has to go around one more. And Lacombe, his got deleted too. So 19 gets one more shot at it. In the meantime, Chad Dick has, let's see, his first lap was his quickest, DJ, at a 2:03.1, about 0.4 off. So hopefully he can rebound after that second lap.
Yeah, he's going to be hoping to. He was green in the first sector, but still about 0.2 of a second off of Mark Lacombe, and so he is going to have to be hustling around here. The Connecticut Valley region driver really going to have to work that car around the twisty bits here.
So he comes down towards Cunningham. Things are going to start to tighten up. This is one of those portions where having an off track is going to be costly. Look at how narrow it gets on either side with the barriers quite close. We hop on board. It'll open up out of there and into Tower. Still a very difficult corner. In fact, it looks like Michael Lee was well off the apex there.
Yeah, I think he caught himself out a little bit on the braking. But I would like to point out, he must have been listening on one of the previous broadcasts where I was talking about the difference between the pro line and the amateur line through there, because he absolutely took the pro line coming up to Tower, had that nice cut through there, but it is a little bit trickier under brake when you try to rotate the car through there, and I think that caught him off the apex just a little bit, but watching him through practice, he was hitting it. So I think we might see some really good performance from Chad.
I'm not sure that the performance will come through in the qualifying, as I'm showing him almost a second down on his quickest lap. So as he takes the blue 930 onto the front stretch, will we see a faster time? He's down to the line, and it's going to be a 2:04.0. That's his slowest. And in fact, Scott Kessel on his third try is able to get up to the front row ahead of Chad Dick. Still nobody quicker than Lacombe, who is actually a half a second faster than anybody else. And it looks like Mark is going to park it. His final lap is going to get deleted. But Thomas Briggs, he had the pole last time. He might be able to take it a second time in a row.
He may indeed. Mike Sachs going to try to say something about it, but it looks like that time's only going to be good enough for 5th place, although that is an improvement for the 5.99. Andrew Smiley able to make his way up into 8th place. Time running out here for drivers like Steve Komatz and some of these other drivers who are working their way through the twisty sections of the course.
Andrew McCune doesn't improve. Looking to see if anybody else is able to come back around. And no, that is it. Looks like our grid is set for today. So with that, time to head through our starting order. Thomas Briggs, as we mentioned, is on the pole, the only driver to break under the 202 mark. Lacombe came close, but it was about a 202.4 for him. Kessel will start from 3rd as Chad Dick will be in 4th. Then in row 3, it's Mike Sachs, followed by John Gibson. You've got Randy Lervold in 7th, Andrew Smiley in 8th, and Michael Burgoyne in 9th. Finally, David Purdy rounds out your top 10. DJ?
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be Chris Sari, followed by Drew Kenny, with Steve Komatz and Jason Sherwood behind them. Jem Lashaway will be 15th, followed by Stacey Iwata, with Jason Reber and Bruce Friobe in 18th. Robert Benson is going to be 19th, and Stefan Uridka will round out your top 20.
Looking at 21st, we have Chad Casion, Olin Murphy in 22nd, Johan Nye, Freddie Lopez, Andrew McCune, last one setting times. His was at a 2:09. Then James Hemming, DJ Sell, Michael Adams, Robert Palmer, and Graham Rennie not setting times.
And as they get ready to go here, we just about have them all out on the grid. It is pretty good conditions here in the morning time at Sebring. At just past 9 a.m. virtual standard time, it's only 69 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself, 66 air temperature for the drivers, and not a lot of wind either. So thankfully, with this being the challenge, this is sort of the bottom rung of the ladder as the drivers try to work their way up through the various classes that we cover. It's good that they've at least got pretty ideal weather for them today. A little bit of blinking there on the grid, though. I think that is Lacombe, who is having some connection problems. We're waiting on Briggs to get out to the grid himself. Now, he's got about 2 minutes total, but we're a minute 30 in, so he doesn't want to wait too much longer. If he does not make the grid, he'll be forced to start from pit lane. But again, let's remember, the standing start is new in this series, and if they jump the start, they will be given a penalty automatically. The stewards will not clear that for them. So you got to get your timing right on this one. You have to be quick, but you can't be over the line on that. And still don't see Briggs out there. And in fact, there he is. He brings it out within the last 5 seconds. Talk about cutting it close. That means that the engines will now start to rev as the lights come up for race number 2. And Thomas Briggs looks like he's pretty decent off the start, but a better second phase for Lacombe. And he's going to try and challenge around the outside. Kessel gets a decent launch, but as he pulls up, he's got no place to take it. Round the outside, there goes Chad Dick, but he sends it in way too deep, cuts back across. We have a little bit of a spinner down to the inside. Looks like they're off the race line. Somebody on the outside is way out to the barriers, and the lead stays in Briggs' hands there, Michael.
Yeah, Briggs doing a nice job with an okay start, but really holding on to that inside position, hugging the wall all the way around, and just being able to put a tiny bit of pressure out to control P2, P3, P4 that were all trying to make a push on him as they went up into turn 3.
That was Sherwood, who was on the outside of turn 1. He got hit by Casion, and that sent him out to the wall. He's able to get the car going, thankfully. And we're already on our way through Fangio and into Cunningham. Mark Lacombe is trying to chase on Briggs as Kessel now sits in 3rd, and Chad Dick, despite a very good start, seems to have reset and is now having to play catch up on those podium positions. In fact, our final podium finisher, DJ, from the first round, Mike Sachs, is still there. Oh, and in fact, he's going to get 4th as there goes Chad Dick off the course.
I think he was able to avoid damage there into that outside tire barrier, Joe, but just a big lock-up moment there for Dick going down into Cunningham corner. He was very, very fortunate that that wasn't any worse.
Also had a spin for Freddie Lopez through Collier. I think he just gently nudged the outside wall. Otherwise, he's able to get back on the circuit. As we follow Chad Dick's progress now, he is all the way down into 11th. You can see all the cars in front of him, as that was our leader that just ducked into Sunset Bend. Briggs now brings it under the bridge and onto the main straight, and I think we've had a change maybe for 5th place. That's Gibson going very far to the outside of Kenny here, Michael.
Yeah, that's a dangerous place there in iRacing, because that little strip of grass that you see on the outside there doesn't exist in real life. In iRacing, it's there, and it will end your day. I unfortunately know that one a little too well because I'm used to it being paved, not grass.
It's like Robert Benson and Stefan Uratica has also had a problem through Sunset Bend, but they've both got it pointed forward once again. Kenny's honestly one of my favorite paints in this series there, that Jeff Gordon homage, with Gibson hot on his heels, wanting to get that 5th place back, DJ.
Yeah, he's trying to close him down here. Drew Kenny in that Rainbow Warrior machine, though, putting up a good defense. This is going to be one of the heavier braking zones that we talked about, going down into the hotel hairpin, but Kenny able to hold off John Gibson. I'm getting the sense here that Gibson's just trying to apply a little bit of pressure behind and see if he can maybe force an error out of that 24.
Only one lap completed, and already we're experiencing a couple black flags. Looks like Cassian has been given one, and Robert Benson as well, both for incidents that wound up involving contact. So got to keep it clean out there. And in the meantime, as we watch from on board, our leader Briggs about 1.4 seconds ahead of Lacombe, and Lacombe about 1.1 seconds ahead of Kessel. So each have their own little breathing room, Michael, and I guess it's now settled in for the ride.
Yeah, Briggs seems to be really just checking out. If you watch the car as he's going through these corners, he's just nicking the edge of that apex. He's really placing the car beautifully. He's not overdriving. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that you see in racing, is somebody comes in and they try to overdrive, but he is just so smooth, just turns the car in, lets it glide through here. This area of the track, crazy bumpy, but he's just letting the car do its little dance, not being overly reactive to it. And he's opened this up. I mean, right now he's at almost 1.6 seconds. 1.6, only 2 laps in. That's a lot. Ooh, and he's got an incident.
Yep, and that was the two that we were watching battling earlier, Kenny and Gibson, and I heard an apology from Gibson, so I do believe this one might be a bit on the 11 car. Let's watch the replay, see if we can confirm. He's a long way back. He sent an absolute dive bomb, or what in the world did he do? Oh, maybe he missed his braking point, DJ.
He may have missed his braking point, may have just thought that he could carry a little bit more speed underneath Drew Kenny there, but either way, both of them ending up in that outside wall around Sunset and completely reshuffling our order.
And yeah, that promotes Burgoyne up to 5th. Man, great job for him, up 4 spots behind him. Reber even better as we come back to Chad Dick. And he's got himself a couple since we last checked in as well. He's up to 9th place. Oh, somebody in front of him off. That's going to be Reber that I just mentioned had gained a lot of positions. Commentator's curse strikes again.
And that's the easy pass for you right there. I always say the easiest way to pass somebody is with them either taking an extra pit stop or going off track. But going back to that turn 17 incident, I don't know that I can really blame anybody too much for that. You really have to know what's going on in turn 17. Because it's called turn 17 because there's 17 ways to go through it. Not really, it's also the 17th corner on the track. But there really are 17 ways to go through it, and they're all correct, but they kind of have a different result. And if you don't see the driver ahead of you doing one of those versions that your version is complementary to, you need to change it as the following car. So maybe there's a little blame there.
And it looks like the race control agrees with you that there's a little blame because John Gibson was already black flagged on that one. And he's going to have to come in and serve that within the next 3 laps. A very hard charge from a couple cars here, starting to gain some time. flying down into Sunset Bend once again. This is Dick trying to see if he can get Purdy. He scares him off the racing line. He's way out wide, and that inside line should work pretty well here, DJ. Chad's got himself a decent run, but now it's a drag race on to turn 1.
It's a drag race down to turn 1, and Dick's going to have to brake later here and try to carry down momentum, but he brakes early and loses a bucket load of time out to David Purdy, and the gap re-expanding out. He's able to get back into line here. Probably doesn't want to try to make this move down into turn 2, but he's going to think about it, trying to scare Purdy off the racing line like he did through Sunset, but not able to get it done here. He's going to have to try to regroup and maybe get himself ahead as they go into the hotel hairpin.
Car we saw offline, that was Robert Benson, who's a lap down, so don't worry about that one. Purdy once again is going to go defensive. Now he comes back to the racing line. Dick sees an opening, and as they come into the hairpin, the inside line not giving him as good of a shot as I would have expected. Michael out accelerating. Purdy stays in 7th.
Yeah, that was a nice try on the switcheroo there from Chad Dick. That was a really nice move. That was one you will see in every pro league and a lot of amateur leagues, coming down there, going for the defense. Sure, I'll go to the other side. You get that inside, you should have more grip. I think he just missed his timing to get the power down, but this battle is not over. We're going to see this one heat up, and I think we're going to have some really good fight going on between these two.
And you can actually see that fight ahead of us now, because this is Drew Kenny back in 11th. They're starting to gain on both Dick and Purdy, and Komats is between them, so getting to be about a 5-car fight. Actually might even be a 6-car fight. That's John Gibson. No, that's not a battle. That's Gibson a lap down. He served his penalty, and so he's probably going to be given some blue flags and be expected to get out of the way relatively soon unless he outpaces them down to the inside. That's Kenny going on a move on Lashway, but Lashway too quick. He pulls ahead, and Kenny backs into the racing line once more.
Yeah, trying to find a little bit of a different way to take that line through Sunset. He's going to try to narrow it up, but narrowed it up too much right about at the apex of the corner. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second, so Drew Kenny's going to have to sort of re-rack this move on Jeff Lashaway. Not really able to get close. Jumping back, here's James Hamig, as he looks like he may have a move on Olin Murphy.
This is for 18th position. He's thinking about it, looking down to the inside, much deeper on the brakes. The red and black number 2 car gives way. Hemig now into 18th, Michael.
Yeah, nice move getting up the inside there. Very difficult place to make it happen, especially if you're not used to racing with somebody. But let's go back here to Steve Komats, taking a look at the back end of that car we were watching for a while. That would be Chad Dick right in front of him, trying to keep him behind him and also mount his own attack as we go almost 3 wide, getting into the hotel hairpin.
Woof. And behind them, it looks like Kenny's still working hard to see if he can overtake on that green 25. Flies down towards Cunningham. He's close. I don't think this is close enough. He's going to show his nose anyways. He's going to try it. He almost gets to the inside, but DJ, he gives that one up.
Yeah, very tricky to get that move done into Cunningham, as we said, and I've got to think here that Drew Kenny maybe just a little bit gun-shy, having been involved in that incident earlier, but he is on full aggressive attack, working his way through the tower turn side by side here in the back. That's the number 26 of Stefan Uritka.
As they battle for a few of the lower positions, looks like he is going to come out in 20th. I don't know if backing off the aggression is the way I would describe it for Kenny. Apparently, we missed a bit of contact that he had with Lashway into the hotel hairpin there. So, not sure how hard it was, but I did see a little damage on the nose. Hopefully that doesn't hurt his straight line speed too badly. Back to Chad Dick once again, and still behind Purdy as we fly down into the final corner all the way around this 180-degree right-hander. And it's a decent exit, but not quite enough really to get his nose stuck in.
Yeah, he's got a really good feel for that corner, and I've watched him several laps now, going about 3 different major lines that he's using with minor variation, and he's got it down pretty good, and he's trying, I think, to test Purdy in front of him. He wants to figure out how Purdy's going to slot into his one line that he likes to do, and he wants to figure out exactly what the right attack is to get back around him.
This is a decent run here. And I'm also watching Lashway and Kenny because they're also close together. Chad's going to show himself in his mirrors, but he brakes a little bit early. Yeah, he's not going to actually attempt to move. Neither does Kenny on Lashway. All five continue to stay in a line, vying for 7th place here. Not missing anything up at the front of the field. They are continuing to spread apart. Briggs leads Lacombe and Kessel each about 3 to 4 seconds away from one another. Instead, we jump up to Andrew Smiley and the 167, who's about 3/4 of a second behind Burgoyne.
Yeah, he's been slowly but surely trying to reel in this gap a little bit here, Joe, doing a good job to just keep up the pressure that we always talk about. He's really going to nail the run here through Jean Debienne, really start to close up and then get maximum speed out of Le Mans here. He'll be close enough to get a little bit of whiff of the draft, and so that'll certainly help him get some good runs down the long Almond Straight.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, DJ, is the 021 a Michael birthday Burgoyne today?
Yes, indeed it is. It is his 60th birthday, so happy birthday to Michael, and I can't imagine a better way to celebrate a birthday than outrunning these cars at a track like Sebring.
Top 5 would certainly be something to boost his confidence, but he's being chased by Smiley, who's going to try and deny him. Doesn't matter if it's somebody's birthday. If you're a racer, you certainly want to try and finish as high as you can. So I don't think he's going to be backing off here as they fly through the first corner. He's within about 0.3 of a second now. He is chipping away at it.
Yeah, just chipping away here. I've been watching him as well. Right about 30 seconds before we switched over. Notice he's catching up. He's down to about a half a second at this point. He is really trying to get in here and get around. But the great thing is he's being patient. But let's go back to P7 right now. Take a look at Chad Dick. This guy is on the move. Remember I said he was biding his time trying to figure out how to get through there? Well, he figured it out.
And Purdy's immediately under attack from Komatz behind him. Komatz, though, might be defending. Big lockup for Lashway. Is everybody going to get through the corner? They are, and it's going to be Kenny who takes advantage. Absolutely sneaks on by. That was some fantastic stuff from the 24.
Yeah, 24 doing a nice. The 18. The 18, I'm like, wait a minute. The 18, what, 20? We'll just add them together. How about that?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The 18 sporting the 24. He's in a rush to get back through here, too. He was a little bit farther up, I think, before that incident, and he's working his way back up. And even with that damage, look at that splitter. Get that silver car out of the way. There you go. So no, now he goes and covers it up again. That right front, see how that splitter is damaged there? That's really costing him some time. A little bit too much air is going to get up underneath the car and wash out his rear splitter, or it's called a name that I can't think of. I'm having a brain fart. Diffuser, that's the one I want. Yeah. So he's getting way too much air up into that diffuser on the right side, and that is causing him some issues. Not only that, but that's an interesting indention he's got there, but still making the most of it. Pushing up the inside. He's going to try to make it at 17. Decides to back out, which is probably the smart thing. He just doesn't have the grip to do it.
Komatz was taking him all the way down to that inside barrier, and Drew goes wide because of it. He got one position. Now he's getting greedy. He wants more.
Yeah, he really wants more, trying to see what he can do to move his way up through the field. But I've got to give credit here with Michael talking about all of that damage from Drew Kenny. He is not backing down at all. This is a very inspired drive.
Oh, well, it was until there. And Kenny goes off in turn 1. He loses the spot to Lashway, but not to Reber behind him. Or really, Reber's going to try and sneak to the inside, and off course goes the 18. And he's coming.
This may be some damage. Yeah, this may be more damage than we were seeing. I'm guessing something else has gotten it in there, or the car is just almost impossible to drive. I got to give him credit for making it as far as he did with that much damage. It had to be tough. I've tried to drive these cars in iRacing with that much damage, and it just doesn't work.
I can confirm he has just retired the car. The day is done for Drew Kenny. A bit sad. He was within the top 10, and he was doing fine. I think points would have been there if he just kept it stuck in. So we come back to Smiley now, with this being another of the close battles that we've been keeping half an eye on. but they're being approached by John Gibson. Now, this is going to get complicated, DJ, because John Gibson, as I mentioned before, is a lap down, but he's clearly got some better pace than some of these drivers around him. He's run these guys down. So once he gets up to them, I mean, what does he do from there?
He can technically get on past if he wants to, but that'll make things a little bit easier for him there, as that was Andrew Smiley having a big off.
Yeah, that makes it very easy. So there goes Gibson. No battle to try and interrupt, and Gibson has won, just has to try and outpace Burgoyne and go past him as well. Back to Himmig in the meantime, now working on 16th place. That's Johan Nye just in front of him, the orange and black 141. Up to Bishop and into Jean Debienne. Surprisingly tricky corner, this one. It doesn't look like it should be that tough, but it always catches me out, Michael.
Yeah, it depends on the setup and if you've allowed it to be able to hit the curbs and roll over the curbs. And a lot of that is in your high-speed damping, which you have no control over on this particular car. So it's either bravery or just gently slide it through there and barely kiss the curbs. But I want to go back up to Chad Dick. How big was that gap we were looking at before? Yeah, that's who you think it is. That is Andrew Smiley. Wow. That gap is down to 1/10 of a second. Something had to have happened. I didn't see it go by. Or maybe Chad Dick is just that talented. Look at how late he goes into the brakes there, getting around Andrew Smiley, taking 6th position.
And I believe that was from the off that we saw Smiley had on the Ullman straight that allowed Gibson through. But yeah, clearly it cost him more than we anticipated, because Chad Dick made up a bunch of time there very quickly. And he's going to try and follow Gibson, who just went off in front of them. And Gibson tries to return to the track. Thankfully does not cut in front of them. Good heads up to stay out of the way. Just about gave a scare to both Dick and Smiley.
Yeah, it sure did there. I'm sure Chad Dick has his heart in his mouth right now as, whoa, that's Purdy off in the background, I believe.
And Gibson is off as well. So the 010, what has happened? Is this related?
Yeah, let's take a look at this right here very quickly. Oh, just looks like he got on the throttle a little bit too quick. Easy to do through there, especially when you're trailing somebody. And then I'm not sure what happened to Gibson there. Maybe he just missed his braking point and was trying to stay out of locking it up and didn't have it under control. But here we are back at Chad Dick. He's really opening a gap up to Andrew Smiley right now. He has over a second. So we watched the pass barely a lap ago, not even, and he's already opened it up over a second. I'm wondering if there is some damage on Andrew Smiley's car from that little off. That's odd. It didn't look like there was much to it, but could be.
Smiley's still up 1 from where he began, as opposed to Chad, who's actually down 2. Remember, started in 4th place, had a little bit of trouble early, and has been trying to fight back ever since. He's actually already 31 seconds off the lead, so it wound up being quite costly with the trouble that he had, because there is your leader now, and Briggs is going to have some fun, because blue flags are out, but this is not F1 style blue flags. These are informational only, and the drivers do not have to leap out of the way.
No, they do not. And this is going to be very, very tricky here, because this is Bruce Friobi and Andrew McCune in a battle with each other. There, Friobi goes by, trying to get on by McCune, trying to give him space there, and just a little bit of miscommunication between himself and the leader.
Yeah, and Briggs looked like he didn't want to chance that one. He got on the binders when he had McCune slow up on him. So that cost him a little bit of his gap. But man, Michael, he's already pulled 6+ out on Lacombe. So whatever he had prepared that gave him the pace, it saved his bacon there, because he wasn't close to being threatened by Mark.
Yeah, traffic giveth, traffic taketh away, and he seems to be running through the traffic like he's just a pro, used to this. Maybe he lives in the DC or Los Angeles areas, and he's really used to really bad traffic and knows how to cut through it. As we watch him go around the outside there, it turns 17. I think we may have an 18th way to go through that corner.
Yeah, just about infinite possibilities, it feels like sometimes, as we ride on board with Thomas Briggs here. Michael, again, you're the professional here. You've driven this place. Talk us through a lap.
So watching here, you get up really close to that curbing head and you hold it to the right side there. Now there's a little nub that comes out on the curbing of the inside. You just tick it, you get onto that curbing of the outside, you just hold it to the right side. And when you see the Mobil 1 bridge, you let the car just slowly drift to the outside. Now in this car, I think we're going to look for about the 4-cone here. Go into the brakes. You see him downshift, downshift, downshift. You got to get this car slowed down, back on the throttle. You can grab a fair amount of, even a little bit of dirt there, and it should not mess you up. As we come around the bend here, and you know, this corner has a name, and I always just think of it as part of the straightaway, so I always forget the name. But back into the brakes, getting down into Cunningham, again, holding it up really tight, but to the middle of the track, so you can get around through Collier. Now, watch him hold to the right side here for Tower. This is the way we do it in the Pro Series. Now, you get that car rotated, and he just missed his apex, little bit wide there, but didn't get out onto the grass or into the dirt there. Now you get a little bit of a breather. This is the Bishop's Bend as we come through, and then heavy into the brakes. With this car, we're going to want to just kiss that little inside curb. Got a little more than I would be comfortable with the way these cars are set up. But now, get the car rotated. A little better than he did, I would like to do. But really nice job. Get onto the loud pedal and just run it down the Ullman Straight all the way down to turn 17. Now, another time to shake your shoulders out, take a look in your mirror. How close is the next person? What's going on ahead? Do I need fuel? What's going on? Okay, now let's get into the corner. Now, right here at the bridge, get back to power and let the car push all the way out, but that grass bugs me every time coming on down to the straightaway.
And he continues on now. This is going to be the start of lap 12. Speaking of pit stops, we actually should be close to when some drivers may be coming in for a scheduled one. I see Froby has been in and out, but that was 8 laps ago, so that might have been a little too early. Not sure if he's within that window. Johan Nye, who we're on board with, has not pitted yet. He's in 18th. Oh, and he's going to spin as he chases Stefan in the 26, who now skitters away. Oh, and he brushes the wall on top of it as he gets it going.
Yeah, and he should be able to escape there with no real problem. Although, as we jump back on board with Chad Dick here, he is closing down on Michael Burgoyne. He's been able to bring that gap down to 1.5 seconds as Dick has set his personal best lap time out.
Wow. So once those top fives, Burgoyne's going to have to fight once again. He already fended off Andrew Smiley earlier. Can he do likewise with the 930 machine? We watch that blue and yellow car speed towards the hotel hairpin. Last lap for him, a 2:03.8. Burgoyne, 2:05.5. Massive difference.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pass him on track, but you know what? He doesn't need to. Just this week, I was calling another race where a driver came into the pits and ran his entire pit rotations 2 seconds faster getting his fuel and 2.3 seconds faster in the overall pit lane cone to cone. So if I were Chad Dick, while I'm catching up to him here, I wouldn't worry too much about passing him on track, especially since we're coming up to that pit window where they are going to need to come in and get some fuel. Probably not any tires, though.
Unlikely we'll see anybody try and put fresh boots on these things as they come through Bishop Bend once again. Still not seeing any of the front runners elect to pit here. Maybe they'll be waiting until about the 13 to go, which is the end of it. Oh, and speak of the devil, Briggs finally comes in. Lacombe is going to carry on, so he will inherit the lead while Thomas takes his service.
Indeed, he will. An early stop here for Briggs, and I think this may have been precipitated by just wanting to avoid some traffic coming up ahead of him. As we jump back on board with Chad Dick, it'll be interesting to see here with what you talked about, Michael, if maybe he opts to come down pit lane. No, both he and Burgoyne are going to stay out.
Oh, color me surprised. I thought that he was going to try and do the reverse of whatever Burgoyne did. I kind of agreed with you, Michael. I feel like that would have been the perfect time for him to take that fuel and carry on, so he'd have to fuss with overtaking. Behind them, actually, Briggs comes out 6th now, so they get promoted to 4th and 5th, but obviously that will switch around once the cycle completes itself.
Also, remember, the position Chad is in at this moment, he's able to use less fuel. So this does precipitate him being able to get a much quicker run through that pit lane, and especially the time holding still, because he doesn't need to be on the loud pedal quite as much. Now, catching up to this point, I'm sure he used a ton of fuel. So he may be trying to bide his time and take advantage of this opportunity to use a little bit less fuel. Although it looks like he got on the loud pedal a little bit too quick that time. I don't expect it's going to affect him too much. We'll see him catch up here again shortly.
Komats just took his stop. Iwata just finished his. Looks like David Purdy is also coming to a halt in his stall. I see James Hemmig pitting in now, so we're starting to see the dominoes fall. And as we continue to follow Burgoyne and Dick, Lacombe is on the Ullman Straight. So let's keep half an eye. Yeah, here we go. This is the 19 car. Will he pit this time?
Well, that's going to be the real question here, as he's got that big 8-second advantage to Scott Kessel behind him, so he's basically able to do whatever he wants here. Watch to see if he's going to bring it on down. He is.
So he stops. Froby goes on by. He's a lapped car. Kessel, who currently sits in second, he's also pitting. I think this is into the pit window. Freddie Lopez, lap down car, he's pitting in. Mike Sachs from third is pitting. Where's Burgoyne? Burgoyne and Dick are just coming around through Sunset Bend, along with the leader behind them, but they both narrow the exit. They are in, and our leader will re-inherit the lead unless something strange happens with Lacombe. Yep, there he goes on by.
Yeah, this pit window is really open at this point. Everybody taking that dive down. Briggs doing a smart idea, getting in there a little bit early. You're still going to take on the same amount of fuel. You need the same amount at the end, unless you short fuel at the beginning. But something I'm really kind of giggling about is all the Formula One news of all the cars that were porpoising. Well, they just need to watch these guys and figure out how they're fixing it. Nobody's fixed it yet, because when these guys are going through these bumpy areas, man, do these cars porpoise like crazy.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. And looks like the last of our drivers needing stops are just down the lane. So our order at the top seems to be set. And if we do get overtakes, it is going to have to be on track. Briggs actually lost quite a bit of time to Lacombe. It was up to almost 8 seconds before the pit stops, and it's now down to 6.5. Kessel still sits in third, and Sachs is just outside of the podium in fourth right now. But the battle between Burgoyne and Dick carries on.
Yes, it does, Joe, and they're going to have a little bit of a wrinkle up ahead of him. That's Freddie Lopez, but it's not going to be waiting around. Time for Chad Dick later on the brakes, and misses the apex. He outbraked himself. He's got to do it all over again.
A little overeager there. And that's going to allow Burgoyne right back through to P5. Lopez in front of them getting some blue flags. This is not a convenient place to try and overtake him, though. He's going to try to stay out of the way. Oh, and he unfortunately catches out Burgoyne. Target fixation allows Chad Dick right through.
Chad Dick gets past two of them there. They both just pulled a Chad Dick from the previous corner as we watch. Let's go to the replay here. Burgoyne going in. You're going to see both cars lock it up and then just go wide out into the grass. 1, 2, and here comes Chad Dick sailing right by, easy as you please.
It looked like he wanted to pass him, but then I guess maybe he just, like you said, overshot it all on his own. Very strange incident, and Burgoyne now into 6. Dick has 13 seconds to make up to get to Sachs. That's going to be kind of tough in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got to agree with you here, but we jump back to one of our better battles on track right now. This is James Hemmig leading Stephanie Ridka right now as they come down into the hotel hairpin. It looks like Hemmig has lost a decent amount of time on the last 2 laps, 1.5 seconds and 3 seconds there. Taking a little bit of that inside curving. That is not going to be great for Hemmig.
Stefan still up 2 positions. We saw an incident with him a little bit earlier in the race, but has managed to make gains. Hemmig more so, 9 positions up for him. In fact, that might be our hard charger. Yep, that is our hard charger for the race right now in the 17th spot. Let's see if he manages to hold on to it. He did not qualify, though, so as Bill Soup Zahn likes to say, it's not a legitimate hard charger.
Well, I always like to take credit regardless of how far up I've gone and regardless of how many retirements there have been. if somebody retires, that's still a position I make up. But whoever decides the numbers for real, let them hash it out. But in my heart, I think this is a good hard charge.
Absolutely, I agree. Himmick doing fantastic out here today to gather up what he can. And he is being challenged for that hard charge because it looks like Reber in ninth is up 8 positions, but he's got a little bit to go to reach the next car and try and overtake. Not impossible, but he'll have to push pretty darn hard. And somebody coming into pit lane there. Who was that?
That was Friobi, Joe. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, remember, he came in on lap 2, so he was able to extend the stint out just a little bit longer.
So had to pay the piper eventually and is getting his fuel and is good to go from here. So Mike Sachs is still sitting in 4th, kind of on his lonesome. Hasn't really been able to challenge many people since the start of this race. And sadly for him, just off of the podium, as he did finish in 3rd back at Watkins Glen. So he's going to have to hope for somebody having some kind of issue, I think, if he wants to repeat that feat.
But I don't always mind being in that kind of lonely race car position. That means there's not a whole lot going on around you to affect you. And as I was about to say, the only way you're going to get in trouble is if you cause it for yourself. And going wide through that corner will definitely leave you a little bit shaken. So hopefully he gets his head back into the game as we watch him come around here through turn 5, puts the hammer down, and he's going to really try to stretch it out as he goes down towards the towards the hotel.
Yep, that was Olan Murphy, so that was a lapped car. That wasn't for position. 7 minutes left, and we're seeing some problems for the 6. Don't need to go there, but it's just connection issues. Hopefully that clears up for Iwata, because he has been given a warning from the stewards about that connection. They don't take kindly to the drivers blinking on track a whole lot. In fact, is that him right in front of us now?
It is. That is going to be Stacey Iwata right there in that green and blue car and the invisible car at this point. Fortunately, he's not around anyone in particular. When the car starts blinking like that, you really start to second guess, can I make this run up here? Can I get around this person? Because you don't know where they are. And hopefully it ends up working out, or he decides to park it.
Well, He wound up not parking it due to the stewards, but because his internet actually fully gave out, as we had a little bit of a close moment there for a second between our leader. Who was he lapping there? I think that was Robert Palmer that he was going by. That's our 26th place driver. And coming across the line, should be about 3 laps to go, maybe 4 for him. It might be a little bit close. We're back to Lashway in the meantime. I was keeping half an eye over here, DJ, because it's down to less than a second and a half up to Andrew Smiley. And Lashway does look pretty strong here at the end.
Yeah, he certainly does. And credit here to Andrew Smiley. He was able to respond really well over the past lap as Lashway was able to reel him in a little bit, and then Smiley able to put down a very, very quick time to be able to pull ahead a little bit more and try to build that gap out a little bit. So Smiley not out of contention here yet. I don't think this is a done deal, but it is definitely going to be close.
Watching from the gearbox of Andrew, looking at the 992 of Jeff Lashway. Let's see what the lap times are compared between them this time by 2:10.7 for Andrew and 2:06. So did Andrew have a mistake last lap?
I'm trying to take a look here. Must have. Oh, and we've got it off.
He had a mistake this lap, actually, as he just went way off in turn 1, and now Lashway is there. So it's a bit of a moot point, I think, by now, as the 167 does have a battle on his hands.
But he's pulled away nicely right there. As we go to the replay, he did a really nice job pulling away after this incident. But watch him as he just overruns it, gets on the throttle a little bit too quick, gets, wow, really spun around. That's going to cost him a lot of time as he tries to work through there. And I think we're going to watch the second, and nope, this is back live, I think, with on board with Michael Burgoyne.
I think that, yeah, that was the second incident. That was Burgoyne that we saw spinning off the track. It has suddenly become a 3-car fight. 4-6, Smiley's back in it. Lashway sees 2 just carrots dangling in front of him at this stage. How aggressive does he dare be?
Ooh, not that aggressive for Andrew Smiley. Has a big twitch on the car. He's going to be able to barely hold off Jeff Lashaway, but I guarantee you that Lashaway smells some blood in the water here.
Indeed, and coming into Bishop, that allows Lashaway to get all the closer. Also stretches him apart from Burgoyne. That's not good. He's going to have to make, I think, a decisive pass here, Michael, because the more that Michael is able to get away from him, the harder it's going to be to run him down in these last couple laps.
Yeah, and both drivers made a bit of a mistake there coming out of Le Mans. You really want to get the entire car over there onto that blue and white curbing just to give yourself an extra 2-3 miles per hour going through there. And I think that was a big mistake. He had a great opportunity right there with the car in front of him, not quite doing it. If he'd have just gone out there, he could have popped right back into his draft. But it also could be tires are going away a little bit at this point. This is kind of an abrasive track.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's been straight through with a pit stop, but not for tires. And so they could be getting a little bit worn out underneath them as we're watching Briggs. And I'm glad we've jumped over here because he's got about a third of the lap to go. And I wasn't able to see him go by the line last time. I didn't see the exact time as he crossed. So this is going to be critical. Quickest time's at about a 2:02, so it's that or less that he needs for the white flag.
Yeah, indeed, Joe, as he takes that to Le Mans there, good lines as you would expect here for the race leader. Little bit of a twitch on that car, and he is going to have some lap traffic directly up ahead of him in the form of Benson, Uredka, and Hemig. And between the battle with Uredka and Hemig, that continuing on here, so that could present a little bit of a problem.
Pretty certain this is going to be 2 to go. I don't think he's going to have 30 seconds go by before he reaches the line here. So yeah, he's going to have to work his way past Uredka, Benson, and crew. And there he goes on by with about 2:15 left on the clock and about an 8.5 second lead over Lacombe. So he's looking pretty safe. He does not have to push the issue with those lapped cars.
No need to push right now. He's got such a huge gap. He's got about 8.5 seconds over Lacombe, who is also one of these lonely drivers out there. Scott Kessel is another 8 seconds behind him. And Mike Sachs, 3 seconds back off of that. Chad Dix, 16 seconds. So across our top 5, we've got a lot of time, all the way back to Chad Dix, 36 and almost 37 seconds. Everybody's kind of driving on their own. There is no need to push too hard to get through this lap traffic.
Well, unless you're Jeff Lashaway, who is still hassling Andrew Smiley. They come around to get the 2 to go mark, and a very good exit from Jeff means he is going to show his nose. No, he comes back to the racing line. Defensive move here from Smiley, covers the inside. We've seen him have problems into turn 1. Can he make the corner? Way too shallow into there. He is slow off the turn. DJ Lashaway could have a shot. No, not nearly close enough.
Now he's just going to have to try to set himself up here going down into turn 2. Loses a little bit of time, but he may be able to get a better blast off at the corner as they work their way through Gurney Bend. Now it's going to slide on out. He's going to try to tuck up behind in the draft, but that gap up at about 0.5 of a second, I don't think he's going to be close enough to have a move down into the hairpin.
No, just too far behind, but he keeps trying to make himself visible in the mirrors. Oh, no, he is going to try. Holy cow, that's never going to work. Off into the grass he goes, and I think that is battle done. Smiley advances on as Reber actually even goes by. As Lashaway's still struggling to get the car turned around as we come to our leader, certainly having a very hair-raising place to pass lap traffic through Sunset Bend. But there is the white flag. That has got to be a huge relief to him, knowing there is just one more to go.
Yeah, Barney the flag man waving that white flag, having a good time as we watch Thomas Briggs try to make this last lap without any traffic around him. I don't think he's going to have any issue unless some with these 2 guys behind him. But the point is they are having a battle, though. If you realize that Hemig, who's already run way up, Hemig is up 11 positions. He wants to hold on to all 11, but Uredka right behind him. I think he'd like to have one of those, honestly.
Indeed. And yeah, I was checking to see if there is lap traffic in front of our leader. Briggs is approaching Freddie Lopez, who's struggling on his tires. So he could maybe catch up to him, but that'll have to be a lot more problems for the 404 for him to get there. And as we watch him now through Cunningham and into Collier. Whoa! We're not done with this. We're not done with this. He almost threw it away, DJ.
Almost threw it away, but able to gather it up back underneath them through Collier. That is a very lucky boy behind the wheel of the number 4.
Wow. Okay. Man, that race probably flashed before his eyes right there. Briggs has been so good all race long, other than just a couple little bobbles here and there throughout. We haven't seen anything major from him, and he's been outpacing all comers as he flies through Le Mans. There we go. Just one more corner to go.
Whew, that was, I've done that, not just in the simulator, but real life. You kind of think, oh, the race is done. I'm good. I'll be great. Let's make it all the way. Oh, let me see what I can do on this corner. And oh, that was the wrong thing to think there.
As Thomas Briggs flies out of Sunset Bend, it is going to be 2 for 2 in Series 8 for the number 4 car. Victory here at Sebring.
A fantastic, another dominant run for Thomas Briggs. We jump back in the field here. This is that little bit of a battle. This is Lervold and now Chris Sari getting on into the mix.
Flying down into Cunningham themselves. They've got McCune in front of them, but that's a lap down car. So is Iwata. And then Lashway in front is also for position. Remember, he had his off recently. Down into Cunningham. Very shallow for McCune. This is going to hold up Lervold a little bit.
Oh, this is getting tight. These guys, they have a little something to prove. They want to get around it. They split him going down to Bishop's Bend. Wow, that's fun.
But Sari backed out of it. He did not want to risk the car, and that's going to cost it. Oh, no! I don't think that's the racing line. That's going to be a cut course penalty.
That it will, for sure. And he looks like he's going to go wide here, too, but gets it back underneath him. He's probably trying to bleed off some time there from that course cut back there.
Yeah, I think he's doing that right now. It's still there. He can't keep that black flag up or else he'll get a time penalty post-race. There he goes. Now he's finally cleared it, so he's good to go from here. Last driver on the lead lap, for what it's worth, is going to be David Purdy, just a little ways behind them, and that's in 14th place. So quite a few lapped cars in this one, which will take us to our finishing results. And Thomas Briggs, as I mentioned, was your victor. Mark Lacombe finished in second as Scott Kessel took a podium with third. Sachs was not able to repeat his third place with fourth this time out. Chad Dick is P5 as Michael Burgoyne is just shy of a top 5 for his birthday. Andrew Smiley, P7, followed by Reber up from 17th to 8th. That's a 9-position gain as Komatz was 9th and Lashway rounds out your top 10.
Coming home in 11th, it was Randy Lervold, followed by Chris Sari with Jason Sherwood and David Purdy, the last driver on the lead lap. James Hemming was in 15th, followed by Stefan Uridka with Brice Friobi and Jonathan Nye behind them. Olin Murphy was 19th, and Stacey Iwata, despite those connection troubles, rounds out your top 20.
And 21st, Andrew McCune, John Gibson in 22nd, Freddie Lopez, Robert Benson, Chad Cassian, Robert Palmer, Drew Kenny, and then we've got DJ Sell 21 laps down, Michael Adams 21, and Graham Rennie. I don't think any of those three started.
Nope, and it looks like we're going to be talking to third place Scott Kessel here, who, as we mentioned earlier in our coverage, was kind of on his own for much of the race. Scott, early on, we saw you and Mark and Mike somewhat close to each other, but for the majority, it looked like you just kind of could focus on what you were doing.
Yeah, I was pretty much alone. It was a pretty nice race. I had fun.
Well, I'm glad you had fun with it at least. And it wasn't boring for you out there. Talk about what these cars were like over the bumps of Sebring, though. With a fixed setup, did you find that difficult?
Yeah, for me especially, I tend to have the rear of the car swing out a lot. So the car was really unstable the whole time. Up until last night, actually, my best lap on the track was a 2:08. And then last night I stayed up until about midnight just practicing, and now I'm here.
I don't know if you're a numbers guy, but started things off with a fourth. Now you got a third. You up for a second place next time?
Well, why don't I just skip second and go for first?
I like that. That is a good answer on that one. Well, who helped get you this third place today?
I've been getting a lot of coaching from Nikki Chan and Chris Braun. So yeah, they're helping a lot. Of course, my parents and then my cats. My cats are helping a lot.
You'll have to brief me later on how your cats are helping, but that was our third place finisher, Scott Kessel.
Thank you.
In the number 48. DJ, in the meantime, has Mark Lacombe, who finished in second where he started.
Indeed, Mark, a relatively quiet race out there for you, despite this being one of the trickier circuits on the grid.
Hey, thanks, TJ. Yeah, it was kind of a lonely race, but tough race. You still have to really concentrate to stay on this track. So, yeah, I wasn't just coasting around.
Indeed, it looked like coming out of the pit stops, you were able to really close down there on Thomas. Were you just absolutely pushing around pit stop time, or what happened there?
Yeah, it takes me a while to kind of get a rhythm at this track, and so just before pit stops and then after, I was pushing pretty hard. Then I think I got the tires overheated and I slid a little bit, so I had to back off, and there was only like 2-3 laps left, so I just hold station from there.
Well, we honestly didn't get a whole chance to look at you, but any concerns out there with lap traffic at all? Did you have any hairy moments, moments that made you a little bit scared?
No, actually, I wanted to say that all the traffic we came upon, they did really well. We all worked together to get by. So not my usual style, but I think I liked it.
Well, I'm sure you liked it as well. But anybody you'd like to thank here for this run today?
Yeah, I got to thank Podium. You guys do a great job. PCA, Sim Racing, Matrix Motorsports, my teammates who practice with me, help me go faster. Fordall Motorsports, and my wife Debbie.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, and congratulations on a second place.
Thank you.
All right. That was Mark Lacombe, Joe.
Yeah, and it looks like we are not able to chat with Thomas Briggs, so we're going to have to head out. We got one more race this evening. That is going to be over in the sport class. Stick around because there's more to come. Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. We are watching the second race of Series 8 here for PCA Sim Racing, and we are now to the sport class. Before we get to the racing itself, we want to remind you that PCA Sim Racing social media offers up in-race reports, breaking news, and announcements through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To subscribe, key in the platform name and add /PCA Sim Racing. We're in the midst of qualifying currently, and Roberto Tutino is currently on the provisional pole by about half a second over Jake Geiger, but from there it gets tight. DJ James Franznick has got himself within 8 thousandths of the 968.
Yeah, it is a very, very tight run at the top of the order here, Joe. In fact, the top 12 only separated by a single second. This is going to be very, very close up and down the field. I have an inkling.
I wonder if this is like the banker lap that you were describing earlier there, Michael, because I'm looking at the finishing order for race 1 compared to what we have here, and there is not much overlap between drivers there in the top 10 of last time and what we've got here after the first lap.
Yeah, and also realize Roberto Tutino has done a 202.4. We're looking at almost identical track conditions to the previous race, and that is a slower hot lap. So I think we're going to start watching people having their banker laps in and trying to make it happen really soon. But I want to also point out, not to be undone. Oh, and not in time. I was going to say Enrico Gregorato, he had his banker lap of 4 thousandths off, not the paltry 8 thousandths we were talking about before from Franznick. But Gregorato slides himself right in behind James Franznick, only about half a tenth off of him. So this is going to get interesting as they start to put their hot ones down.
Tutino was not able to improve on his second lap. This is Solero that we're watching in 6th position. I've also got Geiger on my screen. Jake is going to come across and improves by 4 tenths. Is that going to be enough? No, 5 thousandths between the front row sitters right now. The race is on. They've each got 1 more lap to improve, but Tutino's slowing, so Roberto is not going to be able to try and improve. Jake has an open door.
Oh my goodness gracious, this is going to be interesting, and it's also going to be fascinating to see what James Franznick here can do. He's only 4 tenths off, and he has been green right now through the first couple of sectors of this track, Joe.
This is going to be fascinating. Looking to see if any of our other front runners are quick. Geiger is also looking like he's improving, but man, 6-7 tenths that James Franznick has right now as we ride on board with him. He is finding massive chunks out there, not what you typically expect for the 3rd lap, Michael.
Well, it depends on how you've run the car the first couple of laps. I typically find in these cars the 2nd lap is my hot lap. I put my banker down and then I go do my hot lap, and if I mess that up anywhere in there, I really back off to get the heat out of the tires, and then I put the hammer down for the 3rd lap. But, right now it's looking like he's going to do a really good one. His predictive lap is right at a 202 flat. I hope Franznick is able to do something with this. It'll be raucous here in the booth for sure.
This would easily put him on the pole if this is looking accurate on the time and in scoring, as our 3rd place driver comes off the final turn on his last lap of qualifying. Will he take this away from Tutino? Yes, he will. By a massive 3 tenths of a second. Tutino can't respond. Geiger could potentially, but he's only a tenth up on his, and he's got to make up 3.5 of them.
Yeah, this is going to be a hard run. He's going to have to see what he can gain. He lost a little bit of time in the 6th microsector, but he's got to try to push it here coming out of Sunset. Let's see what that 968 has got. He's going to cross over the line. He's not able to go faster.
Wow, Franznick is now sitting pretty here today. As I see Adam Schick still out there, but he is way off the pace on his previous 2 laps, so not expecting him to try and challenge unless there's something really up his sleeve, as the Canadian driver flies through Fangio towards Cunningham. Actually, I don't think he's got enough time to finish this lap. We only have 30 seconds left.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to make it around. It's just a little bit too far. But you stay out there and you run it, and you just get the feel of the course. That extra couple of times around a corner always helps.
So that is our grid set then. Nobody's able to come across. And Franznik, as we said, is on the pole. Tutino will try and challenge him. Was there something left in his pocket that he missed on that last lap? It'll be Geiger starting from third as Christopher Cook starts fourth. Enrico Gregorato will be P5. Avijit Barua will be sixth. Anthony Solero in seventh. And then on the outside of that row, Joseph Evers. Adam Spence starts ninth with Patrick Adamczyk in 10th. DJ?
Starting off in 11th, it'll be Kim Fricke, followed by Chris Pippen with David Palmer and Peter Yurza behind them. Sebastiano Balistieri will be 15th, followed by Antonio Da Silva with Robert Walton and David Krutzler in 17th and 18th. 19th is going to be Jeff Williams, and David Kaufman will round out your top 20.
Looking in 21st, Bob Moore. And Will, I think I got it right this time. Mungia, let me know if I said it the right way. Carl Monchieri, Nick Malarango, Gregory Sampson, Randy Teague, Ward Preston, Craig Smith, Ryan McGee, and Adam Holland will bring out our top 30.
31st goes to Henry Rogers with Andrew Hillman in 32nd, Evan Balbier in 33rd. As we've got James Bernard starting 34th, last few with a time, Berg Zona, Crane, and Kummer, as Vandenbreek, Asensio, Legault, and Wilsey will grid up at the back of our 41-car field. It was the sport class that had trouble at the start last time. Let's see if we get out of this one clean. I'm sure there were some discussions post-race between drivers and race control to help ensure we don't see a repeat. But the last 30 seconds or so are ticking down. We have everybody. Andrew Hillman's our last stalwart in the number 11, waiting to grid his car up. And otherwise, we've got all 41 of them looking like they'll be able to begin this race despite having some did not starts last time out. About 15 seconds left now. Remember, they only get those 2 minutes to try and put the car onto the grid. So whatever preparations Hillman is doing, better wrap them up soon, as it's now down to 3 seconds. And there it is. He'll have to start from pit lane. The engines now start to rev. The lights come up for race number 2. And it's a long hold, but the green flag is out. A horrible start for Tutino. He's already been swamped by Geiger, who's even sizing up the lead. Franznik covers him off down to the first turn and back up the inside. Tutino sends it in. And unfortunately, it's going to be someone almost spinning. Gregorato goes around. Somebody clips him. Couple other cars are going to get in. And now they start to pile in, unfortunately, in the background.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a full course yellow here in just a moment. It's getting pretty crazy out there, though. There we go, full course yellow.
A little bit disappointing that we had it for the second week in a row. This one wasn't off the initial start, though. This one happened through turn one. Like we said, a bit of a concern. But I'm looking through, and yes, there was a lot of smoke back there. From when I watch it from above, there's actually a lot of drivers that came to a halt and were actually able to avoid contact. So I want to give big credit to the drivers being very aware of what could have been a worse situation.
Yeah, exactly. That could have been very, very bad. Just a couple of drivers sort of getting put around in the wrong positions and taking the right attitude of just holding the brakes to make sure as many get by as possible. But the problem being is that when you've got a couple of drivers holding the brakes there on the track like that, it just creates a track blockage.
All right, so they are going to get up to the pace car. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We saw this last week, Michael. Is the pace car changes the strategy completely. They don't need as much fuel to get to the end because they're going to be under pace laps, and it sucks up a bunch of time where there's going to be fewer laps in general. And that actually had a decisive part in who finished where at the end of the race. So I'm kind of curious, who paid attention last time?
Well, what they need to do right now is do about the same thing as if you had a mode switch. I don't think this car, if I recall correctly, has a mode switch. So what you basically need to do, put it in 6th gear and use as little of that throttle as you can. Absolutely sip the fuel all the way around while that pace car is out. And then when it comes in on that final lap, go ahead, pop it back into probably 3rd gear and be ready to launch the car back across start finish.
Yeah, I'm sure there's all sorts of tricks that some of them are going to be savvy to. We're going to watch on board the 907 Mungia, who has, I think, snuck through without any damage. So he'll see some of this erupt in front. This is pretty far up the field once again. That's why so many clattered into things. There's the first sign of smoke off to the right-hand side. Avoids more of it in front. Woo! Days of Thunder.
Yeah, just go through and pray there at that point. Smoke absolutely closing everything up, and just a real kerfluffle there in turn 1. There's no other word for it, Joe.
Absolutely. So last time, Watkins Glen, so that was actually a faster lap at Watkins Glen. So they'll have even less time out here, which means they will have an even more open pit window because the laps are going to take longer here under caution. Man, a lot of stuff to really watch out for. Anybody who has someone on the box for them right now. That was a problem in the background. What was that?
That looked like somebody not paying attention to the checkups. People are still catching up to the back of the pace line here, and I think they're just not quite in the right mindset to be there, and they don't realize how quickly they're running up there. And it looks like we've got a little chatter going back and forth from the drivers. Why are you passing? Why are you trying to overtake me? This is full course yellow. We're supposed to be in a pace line. So I think once everything calms down, everybody gets back into the groove and understands what's going on, we should see a little better pace line happening.
It was Craig Smith, Sebastiano Ballestieri, one of our front runners. In fact, he was our winner last time. He was involved in that incident coming up to the slowed pace group, and Bergazona also got a big piece of it as well. Actually, another person, I'm trying to make out who that is, came in very late. Jeff Williams looks like he had contact too. So 4 cars under caution getting damaged. Not what they're looking for here at the start of this race. And all the chatter between the race control trying to, I guess, not quite metaphorical, almost literal, herd cats here today, DJ.
Yeah, exactly. Just laying out the safety car procedure here. Safety car lane and pit lane opening. The pit lane will be open as the safety car passes by the pit lane this time by. So if drivers do have that damage that they need to get, they will be able to come down and use that quick repair. Maybe a couple of drivers using it to just top up on a little bit of fuel. Maybe be able to stretch this to the end, potentially with this being a longer lap under yellow. Once again, this is going to throw all that strategy that we had prepared, Joe, out the window.
It fascinates me that we seem to get the trouble, Michael, in the sport class. And I'm sure you've heard this term in your time of coaching, but I wonder if this is kind of a Dunning-Kruger effect. If these are guys that are starting to get their confidence and maybe getting a little overconfident.
Well, yeah, I try to stay away from the term because it's become a bad thing internet-wide. People haven't really studied. I've talked about the Dunning-Kruger effect since probably 6 months after that paper. Probably after it came out. I think it was around 1980 or something that it came out. And I remember talking to people about it playing chess and thinking they were better. And of course, that's a quick result. You get your butt kicked and you realize, I was not as good as I thought I was. But it's a lot more dangerous when you're in race cars. And even then, I was doing karting, I was doing bicycle racing, and all that type of stuff. I was always trying to coach people and help them along. And yeah, you found a lot of times, once people have come to that next level, they think they're better than they are until something like that happens, and it all comes crashing down on you to really highlight how good you're not.
Well, one thing I do love about the PCA is that they have these different levels too. So people can kind of get familiar with their talent levels, I guess, the limits of their talent. I was thinking skateboarding as well. It's don't skate above your level. And I guess it's kind of what we're seeing here is.
And it's more than a lap time. People kind of mess that up. Like, I don't always have the fastest lap times. People have watched me in the, we'll just say the other Porsche club doing racing. I don't always have the fastest lap out of those folks, but I will always start like 5th and race my way to the podium, one of the steps of the podium. So I almost always get there. Unless there's an incident like at Barcelona, which was actually kind of fun working my way back through the pack. But you really do get that kind of feel of where you're supposed to be, and it's not about the time itself. It's about how well you race. The times in this group are not that much different than the times in the previous group, and it kind of surprises me that you see the evolution of the drivers moving up and still making these kind of mistakes. It's a little bit of a surprise to me to see that. But, it could be somebody just had a bad connection or a little net code or something funky happen like that too.
Indeed. Well, and it lets those who are learning the lessons really shine. I look at guys like Franznik right now, who is going to restart back on the pole once again. And Tutino, guys like Geiger, who are very talented in this sport class that could certainly let their talent shine through today. And coming out of Le Mans, I think we still have the pace lights on, don't we? Let me double check on that. Yes. So we need to go around at least one more time, which means also that the pits will be closed this time through. So if anybody did want to get sneaky, last time was the time to do it. I think some of them did maybe try that, because we talked about that last week too. It's kind of almost like a NASCAR style of thinking about it here, DJ, where the extra pace laps, if you're at the back, take a stop, top it up, see where it takes you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the strategy element that can really come into it here to figure out what can be had to happen. And as opposed to last week where we saw drivers having to come in and make that stop, Sebring's a track where you can save a little bit more fuel, you can sip a little bit more fuel, and so we may see some drivers try to stretch this out as long as possible. Who knows? The longer lap here, it can greatly change up the strategy.
I see about half a dozen, maybe a little more than that stopped down pit lane. Now, I'm not sure how many of them were due to damage, because obviously we had a bunch that were involved in the wreck. And, Nick Melarango is heading in the 29, so maybe maybe the pits are not closed, even though we do have lights out this time by.
Remember, this ends up being more or less a free pit stop, which later, when everyone does have to make their pit stop, and you need that little splash of fuel as opposed to several gallons of it or a couple of liters of it, you end up a lot less time stationary in that pit lane.
Absolutely, yeah. That's it. Whoever was smart enough to try and take that is definitely going to have a leg up, even though they won't have the track position. That's going to be the tough thing. Can they make that up if they have to do some overtakes today? In the meantime, but with the lights out, this means we have one lap to go. So restart. Let's see, how long were these pace laps? 3:37. We're going to restart with about 26 minutes to go, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's about right there, Joe. So this is going to be interesting. About a third of the race knocked out here, maybe a quarter of the race knocked out and knocked off. So this is going to really change things up. And I think you're going to see a lot more impetus. A lot of these drivers are going to be very fierce trying to fight their way forward.
So it really becomes a sprint from here. And everybody is going to be pushing that much harder. Let's not forget, we also realized last week that there's less tire to worry about. So many laps left, so many laps less, rather, on the rubber. And so we're hearing that they are going to be handing out some black flags for the cause of the caution. Car 7, car 248, and car 516. 7 is getting it for the cause of the caution. And then the 248 and the 516, those were two of ours that were involved in the wreck under caution. So we've got a couple wave of the fingers at our drivers here.
Yeah, but looking back out front, the lights are off on this car. Franznik, He's ready to get going, but you know who else is ready? The lineup behind him. You got Roberto Tutino, Jake Geiger, Chris Cook, Anthony Solero. They are right up there trying to hold a respectful distance, but not let him get too far out, because if he gets a really good mash of the gas and gets around these guys, he's going to be able to pull away. So they want to hold on and be part of the race too. We don't want to they don't want to have him run out and have a race like we had last race, where it was just 3 guys driving all alone out front.
Indeed, and honestly, one that I'm going to keep an eye on. Like I said, front runners are kind of mixed around compared to last race at Watkins Glen for the sport class. But Christopher Cook, who sits in 4th right now, finished 4th back at Watkins Glen. So could he maybe do one better and get on the podium as we come up to Sunset Bend? The Porsche pace car is going to release them. And once they are released, it is up to Franznik to decide when to go. So he waits for it. There goes the pace car. He goes immediately. Green flag is out. It's a very good jump for the 39. Tutino does try and follow him down into the first corner, but he is not nearly close enough. Hopefully, though, DJ, this will make for a much cleaner run through turn 1.
Well, it certainly looks that way. We're not nearly as bunched up, although plenty of good side-by-side there. That is Walton and Mungia trying to see if they can get anything going on up here at the front. Little bit of a late move for Geiger. Cook's trying to close in behind.
We had a bit of an incident a little farther back. I think that was Krutzler who had an off there. Yeah, he is in the barriers now. Otherwise, relatively clean. Flying down into the hotel hairpin. Franznik with about a half a second over Tutino. Geiger hot on his heels.
Yes, he is trying to get through there, and we're having a race start to redevelop at this point. When you've spent that much time under full course yellow, as we watch, trying to make a pass all around the outside here. This is a good place to do that. Adam Spence trying to get his own way down towards the corner. Man, that was a really good pass. Very well done, well executed. Found the right spot and just made it happen.
Fricky up into 8th position from that one. Next on his list, Chris Pippin, but he's about a second up the road already. Seems to be a few splits in the pack. Not sure if that's just from guys caught out napping or what. Back with Christopher Cook, half a second up to Jake Geiger. He can see the podium within his grasp. Whoa, but he has a big swapper.
And I was about to compliment him there and taking a little bit of a wider line, carrying some more momentum there through Jean Debienne, but that car nearly stepping out on him, and he is very lucky to be as close as he is. Oh, we've had an incident in the back.
And as that happened, Geiger was given a black flag for cutting the course. That's why he is slow. A couple other cars down to the inside. I think that's Chris Pippin, and then I think Adam Schick as well. And we're watching the battle between them. That's Walton, Preston, Mungia, and as they head into Sunset Bend, way around the outside. Preston, too far around the outside. He's going to have to ease up, and he stays out of the wall. That allows the 907 through.
Yeah, 907, Will Mungia doing a nice job in this race. He is up 12 positions. 12 is a big run. I think our hard charger, though, is going to be Doug Vandenbrink, who is 22 positions up. We got a lot of movers in this race, though. We've got not only him, we've got 17 positions from James Bernard, 13 from Henry Rogers. A lot of people really doing a good job moving their way up through the pack in this race.
Like Kummer and Pippin were both black flagged for incidents that wound up in contact. We were watching on board Ward Preston there. Yeah, Will, let's not forget that some of those 12 places was because he found an opening through that wreck at the start of the race, just kept his car clean and picked through. Back to Will here. This is Walton just in front of him. The number 9 trying to hold on to, well, appropriately, 9th place.
Indeed, Joe, as Will here on the binders going down into Cunningham. Both drivers taking a big chunk of that curbing, but look how much Will was able to close down under braking, swinging that car a little bit wide. He's got that gap down under 0.4 of a second as they break down into Tower.
Still hounding that number 9 machine as we watch from his rear bumper now. Let's see if Will tries to attack maybe into Sunset Bend this time. Approaches, he could maybe close down through Jean Debian. Oh, is a little deep into the corner, and we're seeing some damage on the left front of the car as well. Wonder if he got that trying to sneak through the wreck and onto the Ullman straight. Yep, he didn't get the launch that he needed.
Yeah, watching Munguia through that lap, he's very good under the braking, and having watched him before, seeing the kind of run he does, he is an excellent braker. I think he really needs to start focusing on those exits, though. The exits are really killing him.
Bernard and Rogers there, with Rogers going out wide, so Bernard gets the spot. We're on board with McGee. Thinks about trying to go underneath the 36, then decides against it. This is all the battle for 17th place here.
Yes, it is a very, very fierce battle. That was a great move by Bernard to be able to get his way down, but he's going to have to watch it as we jump back up to the battle for P4. Jake Geiger keeping a good watchful eye here on Anthony Saliero, trying to keep that yellow Porsche within his grasp. Saliero able to pull out a little bit of a gap here, up to about 0.5 of a second as they break down into the hairpin.
Now, we saw Geiger in third earlier. Did we miss a mistake out of him? Oh, it was the slowdown penalty. That's what caused this. So Geiger's slowdown penalty is what put him into fifth, and is hoping to claw his way back ahead of the 33. He looks much better on the brakes. Gets less than a car length away of that bright yellow number 33.
Yeah, unlike Munguia, he has got a better exit at these corners too. I think he and Will have pretty much the same technique going into the corner as far as getting on the brakes and making the release. But right now, watching Jake come off these corners, clearly a much better grasp of getting the power down and that smooth application of the throttle as he gets pretty tight up underneath him here, trying to make the run. And let's go back to the front, though. I believe we are back up the front with Franz Hick. Yep, there he is, trying to open up this gap even more. He's got a pretty nice gap at this point of over 1.5 seconds, 1.6 seconds between him and Roberto Tutino. Tutino, I'm sure, a little bit frustrated at this point, but, you know, all he needs to do, clear his head and just focus forward.
We're focused a little bit farther back as we see a couple of pairs come into Sunset Bend quite close to one another. And side-by-side battle as well. As they fly into that one. That was Bernard and Rogers for the second time in 2 laps, but Rogers not close enough to be able to get through. We come back to Adamczyk in 8th position. Oh, if we had a problem, no, that's Pippin serving his black flag, excuse me, as he drops down my timing and scoring screen. But now seeing the very vibrantly painted 407 trying to catch up to Fricky in the 26 off of Gurney Bend and towards the hairpin, about 0.5 second between them.
Yeah, not able to get the run off the corner there was Adamczyk, unfortunately, and that gap is expanding a little bit, contracting obviously a little bit under braking due to the Constantina effect. But as they come out now, working their way through Fangio, Adamczyk very good on the launch off the hairpin. He's going to have a little bit of a look here, I think, maybe into Cunningham.
See if he tries it. He shows his nose. He's a long ways back. Fricky doesn't even flinch from that one. He holds his racing line. Adamczyk is going to have to try again later. Back up to Geiger. After losing those 2 spots, it's been hard going trying to snatch them right back. Solero in front of him. Christopher Cook ahead of both of them. And interesting to me that Cook is not able to run away either. It seems like he's almost holding them up slightly.
Yeah, it feels like he might be trying to bide his time and maybe save a little fuel. Cook right now in the last position of the podium, happy to be there and doesn't want to overdrive the car at this point of the race. We still have about 19 minutes left to go, so no need to really mash the gas too hard at this point. It's a 4-second gap up to Tutino. I don't think he thinks that he's going to be able to catch up to him, so he just needs to hold this position and frustrate the heck out of these guys behind him so they make a mistake.
See if he can do that. Right now, the bright blue car of Christopher Cook sends it back into the first corner. We're past halfway in this race as well. Drivers could easily pit from here and go to the finish if they wanted to. Not sure if that'd be the ideal strategy, though, for this time, because everybody's still quite bunched together at this stage, DJ.
Yeah, and you really don't want to run the risk of getting yourself out into a big bunch of slower cars that can massively slow you down. So I think for the leaders, they want to try to pull away as much as possible, probably extend the fuel cycle as long as they can. That is going to be my guess of what they're going to try to do.
Down into, it was a little wide there for Cook, but Solero and Geiger aren't able to run him down much through that little mistake that we saw. And we come up to Cunningham once more. Geiger still kind of showing himself. Still not close enough to actually have a serious go at it. I think he was just trying to get in his head for the time being. We hop back on board with him. So far, not seeing anybody able to get that hard charger away from Vandenbrink in the 19. He's still in 14th position, up 24 spots.
Wow, that's quite a run. I am impressed by 24 spots in a field this tight. It is tough to get around. But also note, we were watching earlier, Adamczyk and Kim Fricke, they are still having a pretty good race. Adamczyk keeps closing it up under braking, but then watch as we come off the corner here, tries to get the power down, and oh, that was almost too wide. I'm going to say that was too wide for the lead car of that little group. I don't know if that was for position, though. I think that may have been a lapped car.
It was. That was Adam Holland in the 144. So he's just staying off in the grass as everybody scurries past him on the backstretch since he knows he's going to be off pace. The 407, though, of Adamczyk within 0.3 of a second of Fricke down the main straight once again. It's going to have to get a little bit closer for a go at a pass here. And into the first corner. Well, that'll get him closer, braking very deep, but will he get the run off the turn? Doesn't look too bad, actually.
No, not too bad at all, and he's able to close that gap down to about 0.3 of a second, so gaining about 0.2 there with that braking maneuver. Doesn't quite get the perfect launch, though, out of there. Let's see how he handles coming through turn 2 here and around Gurney Bend. It looks like pulling away a little bit more. Maybe Fricke. Yeah, Fricke getting the better launch.
And on screen, this is Preston and Will there in the 907, who we ride with, who is going to break down into the hotel hairpin within threatening distance of Preston. Ooh, much better run coming off the turn.
I think Munguia is listening in, and he heard me say something about focus on those exits, because that was a really nice exit. As we watch him make his run up, try to hold him off line, keep him from taking the preferred line, getting right up on the tail. Oh, I think they may have been sharing some paint at that point.
Yeah, it just about ran into him. And remember, Will's got a little damage on the front of the car, too. Wonder if that'll hurt some of his straight line speed in faster parts of the track. But did a magnificent job launching off the hotel hairpin that time. Let's see what he can do coming off of Le Mans. I would say almost that's even more critical.
Yeah, indeed. Really getting that launch off of Le Mans, it's going to set you up for that long slipstream down the Ullman Straight. And while it's a little bit tougher to get a pass done down into Sunset, you can use that draft to let you carry some more momentum and really continue to take it all the way up and make that final move up into turn 1. Doesn't look like he got the best run there.
Which surprises me because Preston was a mile away from the apex, but I guess Will a little bit timid himself through that corner. Coming off of Sunset Bend. Yeah, he's going to need a good launch here just to at least get himself into position, let alone actually try and pass.
Yeah, coming out of Le Mans really was where that happened. He did not get all the way out onto that blue and white curbing. Had he been out there, he'd have been significantly closer at this point and could have looked at making that pass. But let's take a look here at P17, Henry Rogers, really making a nice run. He's up 14 positions, looking at James Bernard in front of him. He wants to get through there. I like that purple livery. That's my normal color. So I don't know if I got to root for somebody. I might have to root for the purple car of James Bernard.
Yeah, that looks eerily close to your scheme. And
it does.
The 38 is trying to get up on Balbier as well. The 099, he's running away from a train of cars that are actually trying to attack on him. So this is good news for him if he can start to distance himself. Everybody down into the hairpin. And I saw a little move from somebody. I think that was Milarongo on Sampson, but he had to get out of that as he almost got into the side of that car. Back to Cunningham once again. And I think Bobbier's got to start playing defense a little bit way wide there for Rogers. Rogers gives up multiple spots as the 36 goes for a mow.
Oh, that is not the optimal line to be taken there, Joe. Is the 36 having a big problem there, just trying to get the momentum back underneath him here now.
That's Val Asensio. She was on the radio. Not terribly happy about that rejoin, and it cost her some momentum. But now she's got a potential spot in front of her. Oh, Tutino's taking the lead. That's because Franznik is in. Franznik pits, so this should be his fuel stop to take him to the finish.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here. How much fuel is he going to take on compared to everyone else? He was at the lead of that during the whole, well, the entire race so far, but the full course yellow, and he really should have been saving fuel. Like I said earlier, put it in 6th gear and just putter around the track. Don't get too far away from that pace car, but putter around the track and save fuel the whole way around.
Last time, some drivers put in the normal amount, expecting the race to need the same amount of fuel they would at a typical 40-minute race, and that cost them time in the pits. Looks like an 8.1. I think that is slightly shorter for Franznik, so I think he called it right on that. Now Tutino, will he respond this lap, or is he going to try and carry it on farther? And by the way, the battle for second is now between Cook and Geiger. Solero has been overtaken, and it is incredibly tight between the 47 and 968.
Yes, it is under 0.5 of a second here. We ride out the back of the rear wing of Christopher Cook as you see there. Geiger trying to take a little bit of a later apex there through the corners, just seeing if there's anything to be had here. I think he's going to try to set him up a little bit. Better run of the line coming out of Tower.
So is he a better leader than a chaser here? Can he be Captain Cook today? Or will Geiger manage to overtake as they come down with 11 minutes to go? We see them slide through Le Mans onto the Ullman straight. A pretty good exit for Jake. In fact, a very good exit for Jake. He's gaining.
Yeah, really nicely done. He's got the draft here. Let's go on board with him as we watch. Coming up to the interesting corner, decides to back out. I think he might be looking at diving into the pits. Let's watch how he comes around. Really tight up against the wall. Maybe both cars going to head for it. They look like they're both going to dive in, but no. Oh, tricked me. I thought he was actually going in for that.
Yeah, both of them staying out. Maybe he's just a little too caught up in this fight. And he tries to cut back for the over-under here coming through turn 1. Doesn't seem to work out. Solero has since pitted. Looks like Barua is in, and so is Adamczyk. So number of other front runners pittings, which should give us an idea of what's going to happen between themselves and Franznik in terms of pit stop time. Let's keep the cameras here on this battle. Franznik easily goes past. Ooh, Barua was a 5.8, 6.5 for Adamczyk. Ooh, I wonder if Franznik maybe put a little too much fuel in.
He very well may have. Big lockup there, though. That was Cook with the lockup. Is this going to open up the door for Geiger?
He's close, but man, every time I see a mistake from the car ahead, it seems like the car behind just can't seem to do anything with it. I do want to give a bit of a shout out for our challenge class. Jim Hemmig apparently got a 0x in that race, so he's proud of himself, and he should be. That was an excellent job.
Yeah, being able to keep a 0x around this particular track, this place, Spa, Circuit of the Americas, a couple of the tracks in iRacing that are almost impossible to run an entire race without getting any incident points. But look at this. You got Geiger closing this up right around 3-4 tenths. And oh, was that a course cut? Did he take too much? I couldn't see it from that angle. Hopefully not, but let's see as they both get way out under that curbing, and we got a spinner.
That was Henry Rogers lap down. No, that wasn't Henry Rogers. Henry Rogers went off elsewhere. I'm not sure who that was, but we got to stay with this because a little bit of a look to the inside, but no, Geiger backs out once more. Do they pit this time through? Tutino stays out, going for the over-under, and Cook is coming in, but Geiger stays out.
Oh, and that was a very, very slow entry into pit lane there for Christopher Cook. I think he was very cautious about getting down to that pit lane speed, and if Geiger is able to be a little bit more aggressive, he may be able to jump him in the pit cycle.
So Rogers and Legault had an off out and turn out in Cunningham, but it was Pete Cummer in the 333 that went off out in Le Mans that we saw there. Cook taking his stop 6.1, 2 seconds quicker, but Franznik is by, gained him a lot of time. This doesn't bode well for the 39 though. Tutino, he is the one that we got to watch when he pits. If he gets a quicker time than Franznik, we could see a new leader after the pit stops.
Yeah, Tutino right now on the backside of the track, but let's take a look at him here. Coming into Cunningham around to Collier, got a little bit of traffic in his way, but given the, hey, go ahead of me over the radio. So now he's got an opportunity to really make some hay while the sun is shining. I don't know if that lap car slowed him down too much or not. Actually, it looks like he's on a pretty decent lap. His predictive lap time is around 2:03 flat, so that's not too bad. But if we look at Geiger, sorry, not Geiger, but Franznik, also on a 2:03 flat, this is going to put these guys very close together here.
Coming around onto the Ullman straight. This might be the moment of truth. We're down to 6 minutes left. Doubt he can go much farther than this on this tank of fuel. Well, let's watch to see if he comes in. Franznik is just coming up to Bishop. Currently, he's 31 seconds behind. Tutino out of Sunset Bend. Oh, he's going to carry on. Wow.
Saving a lot of fuel, wasn't he?
Yeah, it really is, Michael. He's clearly got that right foot working well for him here.
And being able to save fuel is one of the big earmarks of somebody who can really go and race well. Less fuel use. Racing is not about speed. I know that makes everyone's head explode every time I say it. It is about efficiency. And efficiency, speed is a byproduct of efficiency. So that's your lesson for the day.
And looks like Geiger hits his pit stall. Franznik going to easily be able to get past him, but it is Cook that we want to worry about because he was who Jake was battling with. Jake's on his way. It is a slightly slower stop than Cook, and it's going to be close. Cook is out ahead of him.
Ooh, that was tight. That was an interesting pit rotation there with Jake Geiger spending about a second longer. So his stopped time, we had remarked on how the pit entry didn't look great, but a very short stop for Christopher Cook of only right at 6 seconds, but over 29 and a half seconds in the pit lane from cone to cone. Jake Geiger, 30 seconds, 30.6 on my timer for cone to cone. So that's caused these guys to stay in the same position regardless of what happened while they were still out on track.
Another quick shout out, Scott Kessel, we understand, also had a 0x that last race. So fantastic work there to Scott Kessel. And car starting to slide a little bit. It's Tutino feeling the effects. Has been pushing it too hard. 31 seconds over Franznik. He's the one that he's racing for the potential lead. And with only 4 minutes left to go, surely he's got to come in this time. I can't think that he'd be able to keep going past this. Yep, he's taking a tight angle. There he goes.
Yeah, diving into the pits there. Nice hit on the brakes. Just bringing it down to speed now. So, DJ, what is your guess on what's about to happen here with Franznik coming around?
I don't know. This is going to be very, very close. That's going to be a massive splash and dash for him, but we will have to see.
Down the back stretch is Franznik on the Ullman straight. Tutino just now hits his stall. So it's ticking upwards, looking for sub 8 seconds to help him take the lead away. No, it is 9 seconds, 10 seconds. Tutino's incredibly long, 11 seconds, and James is going to overtake him by a wide margin here.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. I think there was a miscalculation on fuel use there. There are some of the apps out there you can use to handle this for you. Normally, real racing, you've got, well, I should say real life racing. This is real racing. There is no question. But real life racing, when you are out in a physical car, you've got a person on the pit wall who is computing how much fuel you've used every lap, what's your average over the time, and they will fill the car based on their calculations. But a lot of people, when they use these applications, set it to whatever their max fuel usage was, which may have really only been one lap. So it's probably a little bit of driver error at that point by having the wrong setting. As you watch Geiger get into Cook here, Cook once again going deep into the hotel hairpin and being able to hold on to the position.
I'm a bit surprised. I've missed the chance to try and overtake him in the pits, DJ. Missed a chance here to try and pass him on the exit of the hairpin. We've seen a couple other opportunities where Cook maybe was a little bit off of the apex. And I don't know, I thought that Geiger was going to be a little quicker than this.
I really did too, Joe, but what Cook has been able to do is in the high pressure situations when it is the most important that he is able to keep that car ahead, he's just been able to do exactly that, to be on the throttle when he needs to and be able to put the car where he needs to. And look at this, he's already starting to build up a gap again of about 7/8 of a second.
He was all the way over on the other side of the curb there through Jean Debienne. Usually not a good thing. That put him a little bit offline as we come back to Adamczyk now. And Cook's not going to lose that spot. So let's stay here. Chasing on Kim Fricke, and that's Avijit Barua in front of them in fifth.
Yeah, Avi trying to hold on to that position. He's got a little bit of a gap there. It's still a little over half a second back to Fricke, but Adamczyk also helping him out because Adamczyk is attacking like he's a Hun. He is out there just trying to absolutely destroy the lap times, which he's doing, unfortunately for both of them, or fortunately if you're Avi Barua.
And we saw white flag. There it is for these drivers now. Franznik only has to go one more. And in comparison to the challenge race, which saw gaps of 6, 7, 8 seconds between the leaders, there's only 2 between Tutino and Franznik, and there's only 3.5 between Tutino and Cook. Roberto, I think, dropped the ball on this one, DJ, as we get an attack. Geiger on Cook, this time into the hairpin again. This time he goes way too deep, and it's Geiger's fault as he falls way back. But I feel like Roberto, DJ, should have had this win. That should have been right in his lap.
I agree with you. 2.5 seconds longer in the box, and the gap right now is just 2 seconds. This was Tutino's race to win, and he frankly threw it away in that pit stop. That is on him for this one, unfortunately.
Well, sometimes it's missed opportunities in racing. There's always going to be ifs and what ifs as they carry on in their careers. This is going to be fun to see what if between Barua, Fricke, and Adamczyk for sure, because they are staying mighty close. But we look now at James Franznik, who started this one on the pole, and he's only got to go that little bit longer, and Geiger's managed to overtake Cook. Something happened to Cook. He just lost a spot, and Geiger is back into P3. That's going to give us the same finishing order for the top 4 as they started. But this man on the pole, taking it late in the session, and then capitalized in the race to take victory here at Sebring.
Wow, quite a race. Once again, this class brings it home for us. A lot of exciting action from the front to the back, all the way through the field. Everybody doing an amazing job to make this incredibly entertaining race.
Barua beats Fricke, beats Adamczyk for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Ooh, it's going to be close between Walton and Yurtsa, but Yurtsa takes 8th. Walton behind by just 1/10 of a second. They've got a number of great battles here to the line. Looks like Williams beats Sampson. Vandenbreek's in a close one. Bocchieri's trying to chase him. Vandenbreek's a little bit wide, but he gets the speed. That will make him not the hard charger. Legault finished ahead of him, 25 spots up. Great job to the 28 car on that one. And we wound up with 34 drivers on the lead lap, if I'm seeing this right.
Whoa! goes. That was a very late move as we rode on board with Tom Crane there. That was Andrew Hillman barely able to squeak by Nick Melarongo, and he's going to be able to hold it out.
Ooh, all the way down to the line. Behind them, yeah, not many cars close enough for a battle. So let's go through our finishing results. Franznik with the win over Tutino by 1.5 seconds in the end, despite a long pit stop, as Jake Geiger was third, where he finished, but he spent most of it outside of that third place. Christopher Cook, a mistake right at the end. I'm sure he is kicking himself as Avijit Barua was P5, barely ahead of Kim Fricke in 6th. Adam Chick following him home in 7th. Peter Yurtza also close one for 8th as Walton came home 9th and Solero had to settle for 10th.
In 11th, it was Adam Spence, followed by Jeff Williams with Gregory Sampson and Ward Preston in 14th. Behind him, it was James Legault with Doug Vandenbrink in 16th and Carl Buccieri in 17th. Evan Balbier was 18th, followed by James Bernard, and Ryan McGee rounds out your top 20.
Looking at 21st, Randy Teague, followed by Enrico Gregorato, who, if I'm not mistaken, was actually promoted from the previous class. Val Asencio in 23rd, David Kaufman 24th, Andrew Hillman, Nick Melarongo, Tom Crane, Bob Moore, David Kritzler, and Chris Pippin hold out our top 30.
Henry Rogers was 31st. Will Mungia, not a good day for him, 32nd, despite managing to slide through that opening wreck. Balistieri, our winner from the first race, only 33rd today. Ankerberg Zona was 34th as Antonio De Silva finished 35th. From there, it's cars who are a lap down or more. Crummer, Holland, Evers, and Palmer. Craig Smith and Lance Wilsey were DNFs of our 41-car field. I believe we've got our winner ready to talk to us. James Franznik now joins us. James, I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at the pit stops for everybody else or kind of how things went. We were a little bit surprised at your 8-second stop, slightly longer than some of the other drivers, and yet you still came out with the win. Do you feel like it dodged a bullet?
I have no idea what's going on, man. Like,
well, sometimes ignorance is bliss. And I mean, does it feel like bliss here today? A victory compared to only managing 11th in the first race?
I got really bad sleep last night. So my hands are shaking. Like, this probably is my best race to date. I don't know where I went, but it's hard to make words right now.
Well, I hope you're able to find him because that was an impressive performance. Titino coming out about 2 seconds behind you. Were you feeling nerves at the end? Did you feel like he could catch you?
Dude, I was feeling nerves from the green at the start, man. Yeah, all throughout the entire race, man. I was feeling nervous.
Well, you handled it well. Congratulations. Anybody you'd like to thank for today's victory?
Well, the sponsors, of course. I always somehow seem to forget them, and everybody at PCA that is selfless and puts their time into making all this happen. Man, it's so much fun, and I learned so much from doing this. So yeah, thank you to everybody.
Well, thank you for coming and chatting with us. That was James Franznik in the 39 car taking the victory from pole today. I believe we've got third place finisher with DJ Jake Geiger.
Well, Jake, a fierce battle throughout the race with Christopher Crook. Talk me through those final laps. You saw him run a little bit wide at Jean Debienne and then wide again at Le Mans. What was it like coming through those final couple of corners?
Yeah, just try to keep it clean, keep it smooth, keep the pressure on. I haven't raced with Chris before, so I wasn't sure how I was going to go. I found myself surrounded by a bunch of new guys that I haven't raced with before. Just try to keep it clean and smooth, hit my points, and that was about it.
Well, how does that really change up your mentality? I mean, do you not be as aggressive then with it? It's guys you don't know, especially with the lots of infusion of new blood here into the series.
Yeah, I try to take it easy. If there's somebody new I don't know, I'm not typically an aggressive driver anyway. Just clean and smooth is the way I try to get things done.
Well, you got it done here, but looking ahead to next week, we've got a little bit of a different circuit, a new circuit in the form of Winton. How do you like your chances there?
Well, I took a few spins out there, and it's a dizzying track in a couple spots, so 40 minutes out there is going to be definitely a challenge.
Well, it's a challenge that I know I'm looking forward to watching you guys take on. But as for today, anybody you would like to thank for this third place?
Yeah, once again, definitely PCA Sim Racing for putting all this on. I probably wouldn't have gotten involved as much as I have been if it wasn't, for PCA Sim Racing. So I thank everybody over there, the mods, admin, everybody who does stuff that we have no idea what they do. It keeps this thing running, and you guys for the broadcast and the sponsors, and so everybody gets paid and happy.
Well, thank you, Jake, and congratulations once again on this third place.
Thanks,
And sadly, it looks like we won't get to chat with Roberto. I definitely wanted to pick his brain on that pit stop as well, see what went down. But that's going to wrap us up, and we'll see you next time here at Sebring again at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday, April 1st. And no, that's not a joke, live here on Podium Esports. A big thank you to the steering committee at PCA Sim Racing, and a huge thanks to our team tonight, Michael, DJ, Ryan, Nicholas, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.